All right, good afternoon, folks. Welcome back to Phatkat Collections. Got another awesome RGMT watch for you guys today. And this is RGMT's, one of their newer releases, and this is the Pershing Automatic. And I've got the Command Black. Very cool. I like, I've said it many times in videos, I like when companies get away from the whole round watch thing. Again, nothing against that. I have hundreds of round watches. I like them all, but I definitely... I feel like it's a little bit harder to find cool square watches. So, I'm going to give you guys kind of the rundown on this, kind of the normal Phatkat Collections format. For those who don't like it, there's the door. And I will also, though, because I do, all joking aside, I do know that a lot of times you guys just want to see the watch up close. Every new video that I'm doing when it comes to watches specifically, I am doing two videos. One in the standard format, and I'll put the second video, a link in description, not only to where you can buy this watch for the best price, but also to the up close and personal video, as I'm kind of calling that series, where it's just me kind of going over the specs and showing you guys the watch the entire time, right? So everybody likes them different. I want to kind of, help folks. I think, sometimes... folks may not watch this particular type of format because maybe they just want to see the watch, and I don't want folks to kind of miss out on a lot of these really cool watches that I have the opportunity to own and review just because you may not like the style of recording, right? So you get two, right? All right, so let's get a couple close-ups here. I'll show you guys what you get. So pretty cool square-looking watch, our square-designed watch. RGMT is sort of a military-themed brand. RGMT, I believe, stands for Regiment, and in their logo, they kind of have the chevrons as part of the M. Is there anything that really, makes these watches more military than anything else? Not really. It's not like they have any kind of I don't know what, maybe some kind of low-light, tactical kind of legibility or anything like that. It's just basically a theme, and a lot of companies do make, RGMT is under the Dartmouth kind of parent company. I don't know if that's the right way of describing it, but Dartmouth is kind of the umbrella over several different companies like Spinnaker, Cadola, RGMT, Nubeo. So if you like any of those other brands, you'll probably like this brand. Again, at the end of the day, most watches are pretty similar. A lot of folks really want to reinvent the wheel. A lot of watch reviewers are just complete, freaking nonsense liars. And I've said it for years and years and years, that you can get a lot of bang for your buck with affordable watches. And when you have affordable watches like this brand, whether it be Aragon, Invicta, Bulova, Citizen, whatever brand that kind of tickles your fancy, they're all pretty similar. There's going to be little differences, but they're not night and day differences. Like when you compare this to a Rolex, there's not a night and day difference. Rolex, of course, a more refined watch. Luxury brands could, Rolex, APs, all those watches are, you're part of a club with that particular brand. And there is more attention to detail, absolutely, but those watches don't make a watch like this a piece of shit, right? They're all really nice watches, and we'll talk about what I consider check boxes or the most important factors when buying a watch. And this is not something you really need to overthink. This is not something you need to research like folks, you basically just need to know about what makes a good quality watch. And it's pretty simple. Anybody with two brain cells can figure it out, right? Really simple stuff here. We don't need to overcomplicate it, right? All right, so what do you get with this? So let me just first start off with their spiel. And again, I'm always going to show you what the watch looks like on the wrist. I used to have the plastic on this, so I'm going to leave it on for now because I have not worn this yet. So some of you might say, well, what is it comfortable? All these watches are pretty comfortable. And, you always have to watch a watch reviewer that kind of resonates with you. For me, I wear everything from 38 up to like 70. So I don't really, and if they made an 80, I'd wear it, right? But they all are pretty comfortable. Naturally, if you have a watch that's over a pound on your wrist, yeah, that's going to be it's going to wear on your wrist a little more at the end of the day, But it's not like, I like to compare it to shoes, Like if you wear, well, I'm a cowboy boot guy, but if I were to wear cowboy boots, somewhere where I'm, maybe walking several miles throughout the day, absolutely, my feet are probably going to hurt a little more with the cowboy boots than if I had a nice pair of running shoes or walking shoes. This is common sense. But that doesn't mean that I can't wear the cowboy boots 99% of the time and still be pretty comfortable, okay? And that's kind of how I kind of compare like watch sizes. Yeah, a 50 millimeter may not be, if you're going to wear the watch for, 3 days straight and not take it off, a 50 to 70 millimeter might wear on your wrist a little bit, but it's not to the point where, you're wearing it on your normal day-to-day and you're uncomfortable. Again, that is subjective. Buy what makes you happy, buy what's going to resonate with you, but I'm just going to give you guys show you guys some of the offerings, and you make the best decision for you. So this is their spiel here. It says, experience a unique blend of functionality and style with the Pershing Automatic. This distinctive square watch also features an exhibition case back, which I will show you, and which gives you a glimpse into the inner workings. It's got 38 of water resistance, while the inner turning bezel adds a touch of sophistication. Again, all subjective. An inner turning bezel to me doesn't mean it's any more or less sophisticated than anything else. But I will kind of start off with that. We have a crown. It is a non-screw down crown. And then here is the unidirectional rotating bezel, which you turn with this other function knob. Every single watch that I've ever reviewed that has an inner rotating bezel, it never has any kind of steps, right? Which is kind of annoying to me because it's very easy to just kind of like bump this on your arm or hit it on something and you rotate the bezel. It would be nice if this had sort of like kind of clicks where it would kind of lock into place, but that's probably more expensive to manufacture. This is how I've never had a watch in my collection that ever did it any other way. Is it something that I'm a big fan of? Not really. I'm not really a huge fan of inner rotating bezels. It is cool that it's inside the watch, but for that reason, if you are going to use it, it's pretty easy to kind of bump this and knock this. Is it like, you know, the end of the world? No, but I think because I don't really use the timing function all that much with the rotating bezel, what I find annoying about it is I kind of like just the main 12 o'clock, I'm going to call it marker or pip, whatever, however your watch is, whether it's an outer rotating bezel or inner rotating bezel, this, you know, marker, this indicator here at the top, that upside down triangle, right? Try through the wrong terminology, but, you know, I like that to line up with the 12 when I'm not using it. And so it's kind of like having your bezel canted and when you're not actually timing anything. I just like it to line up. And so with this, I find that this, as I wear watches like this, they tend to kind of get off center because it is kind of bumping on things a little bit. Again, not a deal breaker, not the end of the world, but it is something that I would much rather have seen this watch with a standard unidirectional rotating bezel. To be honest with you, I've been eyeballing for a while now. You can get kind of these like do-it-yourself builds on AliExpress where you can put an NH35 movement in a square watch. I've been wanting a square watch in my collection for some time. That's your basic, you know, 45, 47 millimeter, even 42 millimeter, just square case, but with that outer rotating bezel. I wish they would have made this watch with that, but nevertheless, it's still a cool watch, and it's definitely one that I will wear, right? Let's talk about specifications, and I'll talk about my check boxes, as I like to call them. If you buy directly from RGMT off the website using my link, you get a 24-month warranty. I'm not saying that my link gives you 24-month warranty. I'm saying the link's in the description. You can get a 24-month warranty through RGMT. I always recommend ordering direct from manufacturer because a lot of times if you order elsewhere, you're not really, sometimes manufacturers have an issue with warranting a watch if it didn't come directly from the manufacturer. I don't know that about RGMT, but just letting you guys know. Other cool thing too is right now they have a coupon code on here. So you'll see that when you click my link. Right now they're going for $370, you're gonna get 20% off. So not bad. You're getting this for roughly about $300, which is great for the specifications that you get on this. And speaking of specifications, let's talk about what you actually get. So this has 300 meters of water resistance, great depth rating, 41-hour power reserve. This is powered by the TMI NH35 movement, which anybody who's into watches knows it's a great, reliable automatic movement. You're getting a brand name, you're getting a time-tested, trusted movement, right? I've often said that there's no other movement, even though I have Solitas, I have Values, I have Seagulls, I have most of the movements out there. Like, I'm not saying Rolex, there's a lot of other ones, don't get me wrong. Tourbillons, all this stuff, I have those. But really, if a watch has an H35, that's really all I need. Like having a Solid SW200, like all those on paper, there's probably, you know, I don't know what you call like a watch mechanic. I'm not sure what you actually call that job title or that, or what kind of classification one would have or skill set. But generally, I'm sure a guy like that could tell you what those major differences are, if any, but at the end of the day, they all tell time reasonably well, and you're getting a good quality, reasonably accurate automatic movement. Just because you spend $500 on a Solita doesn't mean that you're going to show up to work late wearing this, right? They're all pretty decent. And you get 41-hour power reserve, which is great. It does have 3 hands, of course, which, and you have the date at the 6 o'clock position. And it says here, this is inspired by the legendary M26 Pershing tank. I think it's a Pershing. They said Pershing. Did I say that wrong? I probably did. Yeah, Pershing automatic. Excuse me. So now where that inspiration comes from, I'll just show you the back here. A lot of times they'll put like a stick figure on like Nubeo watches. They'll have like this kind of engraving looking kind of case back showing like a tank. This just kept it simple, black rotor on that NH35 RGMT branding on it. So what makes this watch, why is this watch, you know, inspired by a tank? I don't see it. You know, I don't really see, you know, and these are very loose kind of themed watches. Just kind of remember that. There's nothing really on this watch that if you are, let's say, a tank fanatic and you're very familiar with the different types of tanks and military equipment, that you would look at this and be like, all right, if I were to say, hey, what tank do you think this is, you know, inspired by? I don't think a tank expert's going to be able to say any specific tank. This could be inspired by any tank. And in all honesty, what exactly about this watch is inspired by a tank? It's not like the band or the bracelet has like a tank tread-like pattern. Like I can think of a couple of Aragons like the Silverjet, which is not tank themed, but some of the bracelets on those look like they could be a tank tread. I could see if that was kind of where they went, but these are very loose. It's really just a watch name. And in all honesty, kind of tying it to a story, I get it, but it doesn't really mean anything, right? As far as the lume on it, it does have, well, what does it have? It says here designed to defy darkness in low light conditions, etc., etc. It doesn't actually tell you what the lume is. It does have a sapphire lens. No mention of the lume that I can see on here, which again is something that I've been trying to, you know, push them to be more specific in their specifications. You know, if you want to be I think a watch brand to really reckon with, you know, if you're appealing to just some random dude's gonna be like, oh, I saw RGMT on it, you know, Instagram ad, and I bought it, I liked it, cool, and that's like your last watch. But if you're like kind of a collector and you like to add different watches to your collection, you're trying to attract folks who like those micro brand watches, I could sit here and tell you all day long this has great specifications, but you know, my style of collecting, I don't really care about the lume, honestly, you know. All I really care about is number one, checkbox number one, do I like it, you know? Number two, and this is really almost number one as well, is what is it made out of? So we have 316 stainless steel on this. So that's most of the watch. After that, what's it got in it? You know, what's the heart? We have an NH35. After that, you know, for me personally, I'm kind of done. Like, as long as I like the watch, I'm happy. But for a lot of folks, you know, the crystal's important. Again, you know, I've never scratched a watch crystal, no matter what it's made out of. But you do get the, you know, anti-reflective sapphire-coated lens, which is great. That is the most scratch-resistant crystal. That is important to a lot of people. Even though it's not important to me, I understand. But I'm glad they have it, because the manufacturing cost to add that nowadays, it's not that much of a difference. You might as well put into watches, because that's what a lot of collectors, no matter what your level of collecting is, you know, a lot of people do think like, oh, it doesn't have sapphire, I'm going to scratch it. You're probably not going to scratch this watch no matter what you're doing. But again, I get it, you know, it's on there. 50mm case size. It's a big one for you sensitive dudes. You may not be able to rock this. To me, it doesn't. I never would have thought that was a 50, but I guess it is. So it's you know, it's still a big watch. I guess we become desensitized as you wear larger watches, but you know, it's not. I don't think this is like over the top 50. I think this is a 50 that a lot of folks, even if you're not into big watches, can definitely rock. What else on it? You get those 38 times water resistant, 24mm stainless steel bracelet with safety latch, dual push button deployment with that fold over lock. It is a milled clasp as well, which always gives a nice refined look. I think it's a little bit nicer than a stamp clasp. Is there any real world function difference? Absolutely not. They're all the same. 14mm in case thickness. You know, I don't think that's very tall personally, but you know, it's. I guess I'm never really too concerned with that stuff, to be honest with you. Very cool piece. Very. It has that military vibe. I like that they have these kind of like screws on all four corners. Gives it a little bit more of a kind of industrial look. This is the blackface version. That's really about it, you know. I mean, it's relatively, I think, kind of a simple watch. You have a 3-link bracelet, you know, your standard RGMT buckle, which is on most of their watches. 3 levels of micro adjustment. You can remove 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 links. Typically, you know, most people's wrists are 6 to 8 inches. If you're, you know, if you're a guy who has really huge wrists, then you might want to contact the manufacturer and find out, hey, you know, is this going to fit a 9 or 10 inch wrist? But for most folks, this is going to be totally fine. It's cool. I like it. It's a nice release, and I'm pretty happy having it in my collection because I do like square watches. Well, I like all watches, but I have been wanting to add something similar to this to my collection. As far as the presentation on the box, you know, pretty basic cardboard, RGMT logo. I do like this style of case that they're providing. It's a nice way to protect your watch, nice way to travel with it or any watch. Unzip is a different watch in here, but same case. Got the other RGMT. But that's basically it. You know, nice little travel case. Zips up, looks cool. You know, I prefer a case like this rather than just a cardboard box, because if you are going to hold on to the case, you know, not everybody, let's say you're planning on maybe, you know, maybe you rotate your watches. Maybe you kind of wear them and get sick of them eventually and you want to sell them. This is, you know, easy to store in your house. You're not going to, I tell you, the more watches you have in your collection, it's harder to find room for all the boxes. So, you know, pretty basic, but is what it is. Most important thing is the watch. So let's throw on the wrist here. Now, I did not size this yet, so just kind of bear with me on this. Plastic is still on it, but you can kind of see how much room you got there, and I got a 7-inch wrist, so you know this will definitely fit a pretty decent sized wrist. We are on the last micro adjustment, so you can't open this up at all, but I mean, great looking piece. You know, I think the watch actually, it starts to look bigger once you put it on the wrist, which is surprising. All the watches that I've worn and put on, I'm always kind of shocked when I actually like think it's going to wear differently and then I put it on. But square watches always wear a little bit larger. Let me get back a little bit. Yeah, it's cool. I totally dig it. It's definitely noticeable. Like, you can definitely, it's definitely an attention getter. It's a very big, solid chunk. Looks good, I dig it. So as far as the color options on this here, they make several. You can get this in a, if you're not a bracelet guy, you can get this combination blue and stainless with looks like a blue leather strap. You have the black on black. It almost looks like a suede strap. You have a silver and brown. You have full, like what I call like tactical black, but shadow black if you want something all kind of murdered out. Then of course they have the blue and red, we'll call it the Pepsi face, and then this version. So cool release. I like, you know, some of the releases they've come out with recently. You know, RGMT is not quite as like over the top like Nubeo. You know, they're definitely, I think, more unique. But I think RGMT is like a little more conservative, and I say that loosely because it's still a pretty flashy watch. But it's a pretty cool brand. I've been, you know, wearing them for a while. For other watches, if you haven't checked out, like they make one called the Torpedo, I think is one of my favorites. And of course, the Ohio is, I think, their #1 seller. So it's a big, chunky, thick thing. If you're into that, you know, which I am, of course, you'll dig it. But you get a lot of bang for your buck. I mean, again, 3/16 stainless steel, NH35 movement. You know, interdirectional rotating bezel. That's not really, you know, I'm not really talking quality. We're just, again, the features. You know, it's unique. It's got kind of like a step case around the, you know, where the bezel kind of steps down, flares out. Totally dig it. Very cool. And that's about all I really have to say about it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Again, I want to thank Dartmouth and RGMT for their generosity and the ongoing collaboration with Fat Cat Collections. And always, folks, I answer every single comment. Like, I check it multiple times a day. If you are on the fence about something you need, like a little more clarification, I will do my best to help you out. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and take care.